to share with you mistakes you must avoid when it comes to real estate in Nigeria, or when it comes to any form of real estate investment you are making. The first mistake you must avoid is something called perfect partner mistake. Now, what that simply means is that people believe that I just need to find the right partner with money and all my problems will be solved. My hustle and their cash will be a 50-50% partnership made in heaven. The counter truth to this is that a partnership based solely on the exchange of your ideas for someone else's capital is a time bomb. Money is the easiest contribution to replace execution, integrity, and strategic vision. A 50-50% split without a clearly legal binding operating agreement is actually guarantee for conflict. The next mistake you need to avoid when it comes to real estate deals in Nigeria is something called no cash, no movement paralysis. People tend to believe that I can't make a move in real estate until I have all the capital saved up. I need to wait until I have enough money to buy properties outright. The counter truth is that waiting for capital is the death of ambition. The cost kill of no money real estate is not fundraising, it is deal structuring. Your most valuable currency is not the naira in your bank account, but your ability to create a win-win situation for all parties involved. The next mistake you need to avoid when it comes to real estate is insisting that location is everything. Now, people believe that if it's not Lekki or Banana Island in Lagos or Asokoro in Abuja, it's not a real investment. And they believe that they must focus on the elite or grade A areas. The counter truth to this is that while prime locations are great, they are also the most competitive and capital intensive. The real worth is often made in identifying transitional areas, neighborhoods, on the cups of growth, where you can get in early at a low entry point and ride the wave of development. The next mistake you must avoid when it comes to real estate is when people insist that the informal methodology is better and cost effective than the formal. Now, people say things like, why will I pay a lawyer 150,000 naira to draft an agreement? Why do a proper land search at the ministry? It's too expensive and slow. I can trust the family. The agent says the papers are complete. Let's just believe them and proceed with the payment. Now, the counter truth to this is that in Nigeria real estate, the money you save by avoiding due process is a high interest loan from a loan shark named Future Problems. This problem will demand repayment in the form of lost capital, demolished buildings, and endless litigation. The next mistake you must avoid when it comes to real estate is when people insist that the informal methodology is better and cost effective than the formal. Now, people say things like, why will I pay a lawyer 150,000 naira to draft an agreement? Why do a proper land search at the ministry? It's too expensive and slow. I can trust the family. The agent says the papers are complete. Let's just believe them and proceed with the payment. Now, the counter truth to this is that in Nigeria real estate, the money you save by avoiding due process is a high interest loan from a loan shark named Future Problems. This problem will demand repayment in the form of lost capital, demolished buildings, and endless litigation. Another mistake you need to avoid when it comes to real estate is a statement people make, which is build it and they will come arrogance. That mistake must be avoided. Now, people believe that if I develop a great property, tenants or buyers will automatically find me. I don't need to think about marketing until the project is finished. The counter truth to this mistake is that in real estate, marketing is a business. You must start selling the vision long before the first block is laid. The next mistake you must avoid when it comes to real estate in Nigeria is something we call the verbal quote. For instance, a bricklayer will say things like, it will cost 200,000 naira to complete the foundation. The carpenter gave a rough estimate of the roofing. I have a good idea of the cost in my head. Let's start and we'll figure it out as we go. That is a major mistake. Now, the counter truth to this fact is that a verbal quote in Nigeria real estate is a fallacy. A budget in your head is just daydreaming. Without a detailed itemization and written bill of quantities from a qualified quantity surveyor, or experienced builder, you are sailing into a hurricane without a map. The next mistake you must avoid in real estate in Nigeria is something we call the family and friends investment. And basically, this is always the first investor's fallacy. Now, people tend to believe that when starting out, your first investor should be your family and friends. They know and trust you, so it will be easier than dealing with professional investors. Now, the counter truth to this mistake is that the trust you share is not a professional foundation. It is an emotional landmine. When things go wrong, you risk losing not just money, but your most important personal relationship. The emotional cost of a failed deal with your uncle or childhood friends is actually incalculable. The next mistake to avoid when it comes to real estate in Nigeria is something called the passive income misconception. People tend to believe that once I buy a property and rent it out, the money will just roll in automatically. It is passive income. I can just sit back and collect the checks. Now, that can be a major mistake you make. The counter truth to this is that rental properties, especially in Nigeria, is a business, not just a passive investment. It is an active, hands-on, and often fringed with tenant issues, maintenance nightmares, and period of vacancies. The next mistake to avoid when it comes to real estate in Nigeria is something we call I can do it all by myself ego trap. People say things like, to save cost, I will coordinate the architect, the builder, and plumber, and even the electrician myself. I am smart and I can learn on the job. I don't need to pay a project manager. The counter truth to this deception and mistake is that you are not a project manager. Project management is a professional discipline with specific skill in scheduling, procurement, quality control, risk management. Thinking you can do it by yourself to save a fee is like performing your own surgery to save a doctor's bill. The cost of your inexperience will be delays, shoddy work, and even wasted materials. That is one mistake you must avoid as someone coming into real estate in Nigeria.